Hello, Mavs fans. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson, joined as always by Josh Bowe. We are editors over at MavsMoneyball.com. You are joining us. It is Christmas Day, about 8 p.m., 12:25 for those who do not celebrate and don't care what day it is. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's Christmas, so we get paid double, right? We get overtime pay for this.
Mavs Money Bucks. The inflation rate. The inflation rate on Mavs Money Bucks is really horrible.
It is.
I hate to report, but yeah. So we're here. We're recording several hours after the fact, which sometimes that actually can work to our benefit. Which in this case, I think it did. The Mavericks fell to the Minnesota Timberwolves 105-99. Obviously, Luka Doncic was injured, and I think kind of going through how this game happened, we'll talk about it, and then we'll talk about Luka's injury a little bit more. Mavericks came out looking crisp, or at least Luka looked crisp. He was sticking threes like it was Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. I think he had 10 quick points. He was
the only one that looked ready to play the game today.
yeah, he was outstanding. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the Mavericks offense in the first quarter kind of looked very similar to what the Blazers game looked like the other night. I think you mentioned that in the Moneyball Slack, which was really just kind of surprising. The shots they were taking were good. So you're sitting there watching the game thinking, all right, the process here is fine. They're going to get things going. The second quarter, the Mavericks actually, didn't they jump out to a lead? Or am I making this up?
Maybe very early on, but it was very short-lived.
What happened in the second quarter was Klay Thompson entered this game very close to surpassing Reggie Miller on the all-time threes list. And they just fell into a trap of trying. Yeah, you're right. They never did have the lead. They fell into a trap of sort of overfeeding Klay. And the offense, all of a sudden, they're down. They enter the quarter down two. They take a quick lead based off of a Klay three. But then they give that lead right back up, only for Klay to make another three. This is at the 11-minute mark. At that point, it becomes about Klay getting 3-point shots. He takes a 3-pointer that misses. Luka missed an offensive tip, like tip in, where you could tell like he started laughing after he missed it. It was so open. But then the next possession down, they feed Luka again, and at that point, it had just sort of thrown the offense off here. Around the 9-minute mark, there's some substitutions. Luka makes a nice, really heavily contested 2-point shot. Probably is 17 feet, like one of the high arcing ones where you just know his shot is fantastic. But at that point, the offense was just goofy. It's sort of hard to describe unless you're watching it at the moment.
You want some numbers that might help explain?
Yeah, please do.
Kirk, in the first half, they were 3 of 11 in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 of 5 in the restricted area.
I think they took 2 free throws in the half.
Yeah, they were not touching the paint a lot all game, and that was by tip your cap a little bit.
Wolves are good defense. Yeah,
right. That's what they want to do. I thought the funny thing is that the Wolves Mavs the Mavs, they played big, controlled the paint, didn't care if the Mavs shot threes, and lived with the results. And the Mavs had 30 points in the paint. They hit 16 threes, but they didn't, 16 of 43, 37%. You can live. That's a lot of threes, volume makes, but percentage-wise, you can live with 37% if you're going to wall off the paint. And the Mavericks scored 30 points in the paint tonight, which has to be a season low. I keep saying tonight. This game happened 6 hours ago or whatever. But
it's good.
That was the goofiness. There was no paint presence.
It's good context because you're watching this game and all of a sudden the Wolves are up by 6, then by 7, then by 10. But the Mavericks are just sort of hanging. They're down by 9, but I'm watching this game thinking if they just get their heads out of their asses, they're going to be just fine.
And the Wolves were making an unsustainable amount of threes.
They were making some crazy threes. There was one from Dante DiVincenzo from the corner that was a roll around crazy three. Our man Anthony Edwards sank a buzzer beater over 2 Mavs in kind of a broken play situation.
Yeah.
And so you're watching the game. It gets to about the 3-minute mark. Luka finally subs back in because he had been out for a little bit for like, I don't know, his kind of an interesting second quarter break. He comes back in, and within 30 seconds, he's down. Down's not accurate. He gets the ball on the left wing, or like kind of towards the top of the key, plants real hard on his left foot, as is his wont. Like that is what, like Luka's left foot plant is sort of how he gains separation and or deceleration in just about all of his kind of trying to think what the right, just how he gets shots, looks, passes. He uses that left foot as well as anyone. Like that's just what he does. The left foot's very important. He stops immediately.
Not non-contact.
Yes. Didn't step on anybody's foot. Don't think. I watched it like 6 times. Stops and is like, all right. I turns around, walks towards the bench. Here's the thing that I have a problem with this. I'm just been thinking about it because I'm just replaying it over my head. This happens at the 13-second mark on the shot clock. Okay. So we're not even halfway through the possession. He turns around and starts walking towards the bench insofar as he can walk. Like he can't even really put weight on it.
And knowing Luka's pain tolerance and how much
he's
he
just
plays through.
And he has a look.
This is it. Yeah.
He has a look of like, fuck on my face. Or on his face. Well, we all had a look of fuck on our face as this happened. And so the Mavericks, for some reason, take a bad shot. Like Kid is looking at him, doesn't call a timeout. Luka can't get back on defense. Some of my Twitter feed today is mad that Tim McMahon described it as didn't get back on defense. And I'll just say that like it is factually accurate to say Luka did not get back on defense because he could not get back on defense. The Mavericks did not intentionally foul. They did nothing. The Wolves score, and then the Mavericks call a timeout. And I look, it is so easy to second guess shit in hindsight. All right. What the fuck?
I don't know.
Like, how many times are the Mavs have 32 assistant coaches, 20 billion trainers, 19 owners, and 14 players, and no one can say, look at the guy who's hurt. I say that because this happened to Gafford like 3 games ago. Like, can we do something? Like, it makes me think it's just like, and one of my friends, Jack, actually commented to me. He goes, not to be that guy, but what if everybody just looked at Luka doing that and thought, okay, another Luka thing, which is actually a pretty fair point.
I know, but Luka normally doesn't
do that.
Walk to the bench. Yeah,
he keeps the ball.
He was
even
done.
Though he's right. Even though he's hurt, he's like, I'm hurt, but God damn it, I'm going to shoot the thing.
Right.
And he couldn't do it. And so anyway, so at that point he comes out of the game, and there's a collective, oh no.
Right. It wasn't like go to the bench and it was limp hobble straight from the court to the locker room.
To the locker room. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about the injury, but at that point, the game just sort of goes. The Mavericks find themselves down 17 at the half. Like, it quite understandably took the wind out of everybody's sails.
You could feel it in the arena, the energy level. It was the deflation.
You could feel it in my household. Me and my son, very depressed watching this. And then the third quarter, I mean, I didn't have high expectations. Okay. The Mavericks just got buried in the third quarter. They were down by as many as 28 points with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. 28 points. The Mavericks somehow closed that down to 22. Over the next 5 minutes, they close it to 22 points to finish out the quarter. But then they start the fourth, and it's just one of those things that you see happen. We've been on the other end of this. Mavericks have a huge lead only to surrender it. And the Mavericks just bit by bit work themselves back into this game. It's 16 points. They go from down 22 down 16 in a minute and 20 seconds. And Kyrie and the team just kept pushing. Some miscues that were really, really funny during this thing. Like some truly goofy Mavs turnovers and shot attempts. But the Wolves were so far on their heels that it ultimately did not matter. The Mavericks closed this down to 7 points, then to 5 points. Then they get it down to 3 points. Okay. 3 points. and you're like, oh man, there's something special is going to happen here. It's 2 minutes, 18 seconds left. Kyrie Irving hits a pair of free throws to make it a 3-point lead. Anthony Edwards sinks just a beautiful kind of drive, and it was almost like a step back drive where he floats towards the rim and then stops and pushes back just enough. I don't know, maybe it sounds sacrilegious, a little Dirk Nowitzki-ish is how I would describe it.
Yeah, sideways leaning banker midi.
It was incredible. I loved it.
Yeah.
I was angry that I loved it. Only for Klay Thompson to answer with an incredible 3-pointer with 1 minute and 5 seconds left. The Mavericks are down 2 points here. Okay, Mavericks are down 2 points. Derek Lively steals the ball. 10 seconds later, Kidd calls a timeout.
48 seconds left.
A timeout.
Yeah.
One possession game. Timeout with 48 seconds left. The Mavericks have the momentum and the ball.
Didn't like it.
Josh, I haven't seen a timeout that stupid since Rick Carlisle called for one in Game 3 against the Clippers in 2021. It was a momentum-killing timeout.
Everyone in the arena was kind of like, oh, because like the crowd was going nuts. Like Kyrie's bringing the ball up the floor. You've got the Wolves on their back foot. We
have pulled up from Kidd criticism because
there hasn't been enough.
There hasn't been anything to criticize.
Yeah.
This is a moment of Kidd criticism. It's okay.
Yeah. And this isn't an indictment. Like no, when a player has a bad game, we talk about it.
Down by 28 points. The fact that they were in this position is fucking insane. Mm-hmm. And so they come out of timeout, and whatever play they drew up, I sort of think the play got busted. I think it got blown up early because the resulting shot was a horrendous Kyrie 3 that was not dissimilar.
Really quickly taken too. Like I don't know why he took it. Like it wasn't like shot clock's running down. Yeah,
the play's done. I got fuck it. I'm gonna shoot it, and it was like a good foot short. It grazed front of rim down, which is almost like a turnover.
And to be fair to Kyrie, he was on a heater, so maybe he thought he had it.
Which if he makes that shot, none of us care.
Right.
I'm just saying it was not the.
It's more the timeout.
The momentum killing timeout followed by a bad shot, and at that point, the game was what happened after?
Anthony Edwards got a layup,
got another really
semi transition, which only happens.
Yeah. Go ahead to say it. What it only?
I was just gonna say like he got a layup because they're in. It wasn't like a fast break, but it's off a missed shot where the Mavericks are scrambling.
PJ was on him and thought he had help that was not there.
Yeah, because Lively was guarding Gobert at the 3-point line for some reason, which probably because missed shot scramble situation weren't fully communicating or whatever it was. You have a feeling if they would have made a shot there and the Wolves are taking the ball out of the basket,
that's right.
They probably would have defended that play a little bit better. But what are you gonna do? And that was the game.
That was the game.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
There's so many things we could talk because there's the game.
Let's talk about the game, and then after the break, talk a little more Luka.
Okay.
What did you think about the run? Because honestly, I'm not gonna act like it's Christmas Day at my house. I got the baby. We got the 8-year-old who has more football cards than I knew existed. That's what he now owns as part of his. And so it's like I'm looking at stuff. I'm cleaning the house. I just kind of missed the run. I got to be candid. I missed it.
So they went to a big lineup for pretty much the whole comeback with PJ at the 3, Maxey at the 4, and Lively at the 5. And it was the first time it felt like the Mavericks were matching the physicality and the size and strength of the Wolves. Because think about the Wolves is they're one of the few teams that the Mavericks can run up against, and the Mavericks just don't instantly have a size advantage with their normal starting lineup. Because you look at the Wolves, other than Mike Conley, everyone on that team is big. Like Anthony Edwards at the 2, McDaniels at the 3, Randall at the 4, Gobert at the 5. None of those guys are small for their position. In fact, most of those guys are big or longer for their position. And obviously that was the case last year with Towns instead of Randall. So it's not like this is a new development. But it has caused the Mavericks some issues in the regular season, and even didn't cause some issues in the playoffs because the Mavericks kind of had the counters with their offense, and the Wolves offense just wasn't up to snuff. So they played big and they matched the Wolves big ball, and that helped a lot. And then obviously they just kind of had to naturally wait for some of those pull-up threes that the Wolves were making to just not happen, right? Like the Wolves naturally cooled off. They weren't going to shoot that well from 3. And then the Mavericks matched their physicality defensively with a big lineup. And like it kind of felt like a little desperation play. Not desperation, but it was like, look, we're not getting stops. We're not getting, obviously the Wolves are making some threes, but the Mavericks were then kind of overcompensating. Like the Mavericks base defensive scheme is going to give you some threes, and the Wolves were taking advantage of making those threes. But then they kind of started to like overcompensate, and they were like trying to take away those threes. And I thought their closeouts got a little wild. And the Wolves were beating the Mavericks closeouts like nothing. Like they were blowing by guys on the closeouts, and then they were starting to get paint points and lob dunks, that's when the Mavericks defense, like, that's not okay. Like that's not part of the scheme. They'll give you some threes, but they do not want to give you lobs. If they're giving you threes and lobs, like they're not taking anything away. That's bad. So Kid basically just was like, I'm playing my three best defenders. Like Maxey, Lively, and PJ are the three best defenders probably currently on the team right now. I know there's not a lot of love for Maxi Kleber right now, and I understand his offensive numbers are pretty dreadful, but he's still putting in the work defensively, I think, and I don't think it's a coincidence that they went on this run with all three of those guys on the floor. Now, granted, they only got away with it because, again, the Wolves are a big enough team, and they play Randall, who can shoot threes, but he's not necessarily like
Randall's the type of player.
He's not Towns, like shooting threes, not the kind of floor spacing, like, oh no, we got to get out to him, like, shooting threes. So you can get away playing basically, 2 4s and a 5, which is what they did with Lively, Lively, PJ, and Maxey. And the Wolves weren't able to really take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. You were saying something. Did I cut you off? What were you saying?
No.
About Randall?
No. Oh, well, Randall's the type of guy who, and again, I remember early in the season, a guy in here was like, the Mavericks should trade for Randall, and I was just kind of excoriating and arguing with him. Randall's the kind of guy who can shoot you into and out of a game. And he made some shots tonight that were absolute bullshit, bogus nonsense that were killing me. Like one of the shots he made over Maxey, where he was in the paint for like 9 seconds while pivoting back and forth. It's just like, okay, sometimes the guy's gonna hit shots. Like this game, even without Luka, I still think the Mavericks are a better team than this Wolves team. Like I thought they played kind of dumb. And had a hard time getting out of their own way. I mean, Luka's the straw that stirs the drink, but like I think the Mavericks can take this team.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. And I mean, honestly, aside from Luka, it looked like everyone else was playing this game like, oh yeah, we got this. Like very nonchalant start, except for Luka. Luka was.
Oh yeah, I mean,
he was ready from opening tip, but everyone else was kind of like felt like they were sleepwalking through the first 3 quarters. Then Luka gets hurt. There's the deflation. There's a letdown. And then maybe it took them the quarter break for them to be like, all right, let's get our asses into this game.
Maxi Kleber can't be the team high plus minus guy. Like that just like Dorky Daniel Gafford, 13 minutes and nothing, like very close to a Tony Snell line.
I think that worst game in a Maverick uniform for him.
Spencer Dinwiddie looked like a guy who had a great Christmas Eve is how I will describe his game. He was awful. Like today's Spencer was the Spencer I was concerned about. Does that make sense?
That's the one you thought back in 2022.
He wasn't.
They were getting from the Wizards.
He had 2 possessions to end the first half where he held the ball the entire time. And I know they were just trying to get to half, but it's like, brother, run, like do something.
They got nothing from their bench outside of Maxey.
And again,
and Grimes, a little bit of Grimes.
He's a minimum contract bench player. My expectations aren't super high. It's like there are things that were happening in this game that I think if the game really mattered and they were able to game plan from the beginning, I just think they thrashed these Wolves. I just do.
Yeah. I think if Lucas stayed healthy, I think they were, theoretically, we were all waiting for the run, right? Like, okay, the Wolves are going to stop missing threes. The Mavericks are going to get back into it. They just had to dig out, and they did get back into it, and the Wolves did start missing threes, but they just got into such a deep hole because that Luka injury suck the air out of the room. Like if Luka doesn't get hurt, I'm not saying they're probably still trailing entering the fourth quarter, but they're not trailing by 22 points. Like I don't think they get down by 28 if Luka doesn't get hurt. They may be down by 9 or 7 or something. And then when you make your run in the fourth, you're not coming back from 20 and using all your energy just to get him within a shot. Like they probably could have taken the lead much earlier in the quarter if Luka, stayed healthy. Again, theoretically, if Sans but like we don't know. But that's kind of the vibe that I got. I wanted to add, go ahead.
Well, and earlier I sort of blamed Clay's chasing that
Yeah, that wasn't great.
That record, and it's not Clay's fault.
No.
I was wrong to. I didn't mean that. I said that earlier, but what they did there was sort of a symptom of the fact that they weren't touching the paint. And it's just that they just have to make that more of an effort. Like this team is really. They shot 11 free throws in this game. This team lives at the line, and that is not purely a symptom of Luka. That is a symptom of attacking. Symptom, wrong word. That is a result. Just and so. I just that's just sort of what I was thinking there.
Yeah. Can I ask you before we get to break and before because I know after we get out of break we're going to talk about the Luka injury more. What's going on with Najee in the minutes? Is this?
I think he's got to not feel good.
Okay.
I really he has done nothing in his play that would concern me at all. There's got to be something with his wind and his minimum. Like how many minutes did he play?
14. He was averaging 26 in November.
Yeah. I mean, 8 minutes less is a lot. I mean, it's most of a quarter. And yeah, there's some there about it. And frankly, with Luka gone, this sorts itself out. Like they need him. He has to play more.
Right. Like if he doesn't start playing more with Luka out, is like, I guess what I'm wondering is when do we start thinking this is him, not over his sickness, his illness, trying to get his legs under him? When does it shift from that to this is a coaching decision? Like, did he get in the doghouse somehow? Like, I don't know when that conversation starts and the other one ends.
I mean, this is weird. This is the pitfall, and I'll just be honest about this. Like, we used to have guys that would go cover the game for us, and we don't really have anyone that does that anymore because I've not felt comfortable.
I know.
It's
if I was at the game, we could.
Yeah, I mean, and that would be the question because you ask about this, and I think we'll probably ask some of our colleagues within the space that actually do cover the game live to see what they can find out about this. Yeah, it's a little disconcerting. So
yeah.
Okay, let's take a quick break here. As you guys know, our sponsor is a company we enjoy called Body Spec. We were approached before Thanksgiving because we thought they'd be sort of an interesting fit with our with what Josh and I value. And what they do is they provide what's called a DEXA scan. It's a full body composition scan to help you understand what's going on with your body. Whether you're an athlete, if you're a stay-at-home parent, or you're a person with a desk job like Josh and I think this is something that anyone should consider because knowing what's going on with your body is really important, particularly if you're considering changing kind of where you are in your fitness journey, even if that means starting one. So if you could head to the show notes, guys, and if you could click Body Spec or click the Body Spec link, there is a promo code as well for you to sign up and get $15 off. That promo code is PODMAVS in all caps 45. PODMAVS 45 in all caps. Since it's Christmas now, it's no longer a good Christmas present, but it certainly is a great idea for a gift or for New Year's with resolutions and such being right around the corner. The Body Spec competitors charge a whole bunch for a scan like this, as much as $150. So you'll be getting real usable info for a really, really good price. Can't tell you what the price is right now, but I can tell you should go find out. If you should click the bodyspec.com link in the show notes, use the code PODMAVS45 at checkout. Josh and I look forward to talking about this more. I'm gonna really recommit some of my habits in the new year, but not on a night where Luka Doncic gets injured. We'll be right back to talk about that. All right, thanks for letting us do some show business. If you'll consider subscribing and liking the stream and the podcast, all that good stuff is very helpful to us. Really appreciate all the comments and all the support, particularly during a time when things are a little bit blah. So Luka Doncic is out.
Gonna be out for a while, I think.
And we don't know what that means. And I put up a tweet to which, there's only one Mavericks affiliated person that actually communicates in what I feel is regular good faith with me. And that's Chuck Cooperstein. And I complain that teams on the NBA are so opaque about injuries and it drives me crazy. He responded back to me and said, more or less that, hey, it could be worse. It could be hockey where they just describe everything as upper and lower body injuries, which is true. And then also said, the reason they aren't more specific is because if guys miss deadlines, that they set, then team, like, it just puts them under a microscope. I get it, it's fair, but now the flip side of this is we're sort of staring at Luka Doncic's left calf injury, which is what he has. He apparently left the arena on crutches, not even a walking boot, like on crutches, not putting pressure on that foot.
MRI tomorrow to determine the full severity.
And we'll just, I'm thinking about this, and it opens the Mavericks up to a lot of questions, because this is not his first injury to this calf this season. This is his third injury to this calf, which, if you have any familiarity with soft tissue injuries, I think it's safe to say that this is a continuation of the same injury. We're not doctors. We don't know. I don't want to play doctor, other than to state sort of emphatically that soft tissue injuries suck. They suck.
Yeah, they do. And if you remember, this is the same calf he hurt at the final game of the regular season in 2022 that caused him to miss the first 3 games of the playoff series against Utah. Yeah, he's had 5 lower body injuries this season since training camp started. He injured the calf first weekend of training camp, injured his knee a few weeks into the season, the same knee that was bothering him during the playoffs. Then he had a left groin strain, which kind of flew under the radar because he didn't technically miss time, but he was on the injury report for a couple of injury reports that left groin strain that he played through. So that's
lower body
3,
injury.
and then heel, that's 4, and now this calf injury again, 5.
I do think the heel is sort of its own category. I mean,
yeah, he got stepped on or whatever.
Yeah, whereas there's things with and we saw this with Porzingis a lot. Like, lower body injuries are all connected to in a lot of ways, because of you injure one area, you strain and put more pressure on another area, whether or not you intend to. It's just sort of the way your body compensates, even if they don't want him to. And so this is just all very frustrating, I think, because when Shams and Tim McMahon are putting this out into the ether, and Mark Stein did the same thing, that this could be a while. I think it's a while is such a loaded term. Traditional recovery for a grade 1 strain in a calf is 1 to 2 weeks, and in a grade 2 strain is 4 to 6 weeks. And month of basketball is a lot of games. You just assume in a month you play 15 to 18 games of basketball. We could be looking at Luka not coming back for a while, and that if that makes you sad, it should, because he's really good, and I think this team can stomach and survive a fair amount of without Luka. They played pretty good without him this season. But it just sort of has this cascade of like, fuck.
Yeah, I think it's less this to me. Like, again, I'm not. This isn't really with a fan hat on. I'm just trying to kind of observe. Like, to me, it's less disappointing about this particular season because this is the best roster the Mavericks have ever had with Luka. They are 6-2 in games without Luka this season, in games in which he never played. Obviously, that this doesn't count. He left the game in the third quarter, or second quarter. Apologies. So, like, in terms of like the win-loss record, I'm not concerned, and that's not a knock on Luka. That's a compliment to the roster building and how much better the roster is. Where I get disappointed and where I start feeling despondent or whatever negative, sad emotions you can feel about a player injury is more like the big picture.
Yeah,
because again, he has suffered a lot of lower body injuries this season. He's had a few, like, he has not been able to get through a season clean. I feel like since his second year in the league. I feel like starting in 2021, he had some issues, missed some games. 2022, he hurt his calf, missed first couple of games of the playoffs. He also had some injuries earlier in that season. 2023, season from hell. He also missed some time with some lower body injuries there. Last season he missed. I can't remember how many games he missed, but he missed a decent amount of games. Like I don't think he's played. I mean, he's made the cutoff to make awards, so he hasn't and he hasn't had a catastrophic injury. Like I saw some people in my mentions being like he's Joel Embiid or he's Kristaps Porzingis, and I'm like, you can't call him. You can't say that until you've had like those guys have had knee surgeries. Like
Kyrie Irving missed. If you go look at that dude's injury schedule. If you go look at that guy's injury history, he's had like a string of bizarre injuries. Yeah. Which, at that point, do you start to label a guy as injury prone, even though it's not like Porzingis was injury prone. He is injury prone. Like he got hurt. He got hurt today. Porzingis did. And it's like
so did Embiid, by the way.
Oh my God.
It's not a knock, but go ahead.
What would happen to the internet if Luka hurt himself like that? Like I
would log off. I would never.
So much anyway.
But yeah. What I was saying is like Luka's never had a major like he's never had surgery on an injury. Like, so you just can't compare. But like, again, it's coming up every season. He's going through something with his lower body. And and what's disappointing about it is there's nothing like this. I can't look at film. Like this isn't like breaking down game tape. This isn't like breaking down film or stats or doing some like I'm not a doctor. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know why he keeps getting these lower body injuries. I can speculate with my uninformed opinion.
I mean, that's the asset that he uses all the time. Yeah. Like,
his acceleration, deceleration, his legs, his footwork, it's all connected. And then the thing the main thing that's coming out of this is I don't know what the solution is, but they got to figure out a way to keep him upright. And I don't know if it's a change to his off-season training regimen. I don't know if it's limiting his international play. I don't know what it is.
It's worth at least dipping into this because I hate these social media discussions. We on this show have criticized Luka for his fitness and his weight. This injury is like this is not the time to fucking do that. Like he took a step. And plus, did you see him today? He looked fantastic.
Yeah, he did. He did look awesome.
Like in the pregame, he was wearing a suit. Like he looked as thin as I've seen him look in 2 years. And I could just be memory playing tricks, but I thought he physically looked dominant today, right up until he hurt himself. So I'm not really interested in that discussion. Where my head goes, and this is just again, I remember Dirk hurting his ankles all the time in his first 4 years. Mm-hmm. All the time. He would just miss games. You'd be like, God damn it, he sprained his ankle again. And then all of a sudden, that stopped being a thing. Like it just stopped being a thing. What happened there? Pretty sure he started training differently.
And it's not about a conditioning.
When I shredded my knee playing fucking knockout with the children of my neighborhood, the road back is you have to strengthen all sorts of other stuff. And I just bet like he's so physically gifted. It's got to be very like, I don't even know what you can do about this. Like, I really don't.
Yeah. The thing that I think about is my favorite, obviously my favorite NBA player, UL's Trinity's own Miles Turner. Do you remember I could be misremembering if it's Miles Turner. So apologies to Miles Turner if this is not accurate. But do you remember when he came into the league, there was like an issue with his gait, like the way he ran, and he was a little injury prone his first few seasons, or maybe in college.
People were worried about his knees.
Yeah, like is he? Like is he going to be able to play in the league long term? Because the way he runs, he's not out of shape. He's a great athlete. But the way he runs, his biomechanics,
he had horrible tendonitis. I remember this. Yeah.
And they changed the way he ran, and he's been fine. But that's not, you're out of shape, you're fat. Like that's just just got to change.
I'm interested. That's just not different. The discussion I'm interested in having.
I'm wondering, is it so? It's like not trying to have the conditioning discussion, but is it a biomechanics? Is there something they can do to him in the off season that can prepare his body to not suffer these injuries? Because if not, then that just stinks. Like there's nothing we do about it. But I would hope that there's something that they could do, because they have to at least put everything on the table, because again, this just keeps happening. And if it's unlucky coincidence, then so be it. But I just want, that's the part where I don't know. Like I would need to talk to an expert to be like, hey, is there any way the way that he moves that makes it to where he's more injury prone? I don't know.
I'm gonna bother friend of the show, Jeff Stotts, at some point. I texted him today and he was like, sorry, with my parents, it's Christmas. And I was like, yes, it is Christmas. Sorry for texting you, Jeff. Sorry for texting you. But I'll probably ask him at some point, just because he is an actual expert. And I don't know. I kind of logged off today and I hop back on.
It was not great.
And I hop back on and I hate and like, look, I get, like, you're upset. You're upset about the Mavericks' best player getting hurt on Christmas Day. It absolutely sucks. And I hate seeing people sort of start to I just hate seeing people that kind of upset, because there's just like nothing we can do. Do you know what I mean?
Right. No, there's absolutely nothing. It's pissing into the wind, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's the bigger level discussion of what can they do to get him in a place where this doesn't happen. And we don't know the answer to that. And we won't know until we talk to people that are smarter than us about this stuff. But then another thing is, like, it just sucks. The one thing that does suck about this season is, again, I think the win-loss record will be okay. Knock on wood, famous last words. We'll see where they are in a month.
This is why building a nine plus game over five,
right,
at one point, lead over 500 was important.
Right, exactly. But another thing is, I feel like we haven't really gotten to see Luka this season.
No, not at all.
He started the season slow because of being out for the whole preseason, and he didn't look 100% coming off the calf injury that kept him out of training camp.
Shooting was horrid. He just needed to find a rhythm. And
hurt his knee, hurt his groin, didn't look better. Like, it just got worse, and then had the wrist injury. They shut him down for a week to get his body healthy. And then those, the
Golden State game.
The 4 or 5 games he played coming back from that week off. That's like the only time I felt like we've seen Luka this season.
The Golden State game might have been, in hindsight, I think we'll talk about this for some time, but it was one of the most dominant performances where he didn't need to be dominant. Like, again, it's like that game he had what? It was like 45, 13 and 7, some such nonsense. And he didn't score the final 7 minutes while the Mavericks beat one of the better teams in the conference. And it's just...
and then he's hurt immediately.
Yeah.
I feel like he's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 healthy games this season. Like, and that's a shame. Like, that part of it is a shame. Credit to the Mavericks that they're 19 and 11 or whatever the record is, right? Like, they still have that winning record. But it's just a shame. Like, it's just been so like, since training camp, he has been recovering from something. Like, it's just constant. And like that's another part of it. Like, the rehab work, like, he plays in the 2024 playoffs where he's hurt. So now he goes in the off season, and his off season is like, hey, get healthy. Like, does that screw up his training? Like, he doesn't have time. He doesn't have time to recuperate and also train, because he can only do one or the other, because he just keeps picking up all these nagging injuries. And again, I'm not trying to this is
no, but I mean, you could go back to
tough.
You could go back to COVID in the bubble and sort of not like forecast this, but this was a worry, because you're looking at the Mavericks. They started training camp that December, and the NBA restarted in a hurry. You remember this?
Yeah,
that summer, yes,
2021. Yeah.
That summer the Olympics got bumped into 2021. So he came into that, and he came into that camp. Everyone, the entire league came into camp out of shape, because they're like, look, we're starting on Christmas Day. And they did this like mid-November. Like, it was like 4.5 weeks before. And so it's like, guys had no idea when the league was going to start. And you look ahead, and they bumped the international competitions into 2021. So then they have international competition 2021, 2022. And then this last summer, there were qualifiers in 2023, then again in 2024. So like, he really had, and so I remember us talking about this, where we're sitting there going, oh man, this is a lot of basketball he has ahead of him. Fuck. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well,
and there's more international stuff next summer, right?
I don't even know.
I don't know.
I kind of got through the 2024 Olympics and was like, I can't think about this anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like, it just sort of,
it sucks.
It sucks. I mean, the Mavericks have had a pretty good run, honestly. compared to other teams that have had like generational dudes. Like if you're a Sixers fan, you get a guy like Embiid back to start the process. Everything Embiid has done has been a disappointment. He just has. Whereas with Luka, we've got to go to the conference finals, go to the finals. There's been some real highs and some real lows, and it's just, we've been pretty lucky, but you also just want more. You want more, and that's where we're sort of settling at the moment.
I mean, to be honest, if you want to look at the bright side, is I think the fear, when that injury happened, was Achilles, and obviously they need to get the MRI tomorrow. But usually, fit trainers can feel that when they're like, you can kind of know before you get the MRI.
Kobe's like the only dude who I've ever seen walk off the floor after tearing an Achilles.
Dude shot 2 free throws after tearing an Achilles.
Free throws and then walked off the floor like a psychopath. So anyway, but I don't know. It's just sort of where we are. And, I think there's the downhill effects. You got a guy like Kyrie Irving who played pretty magnificent game tonight. And
he hit a 3-pointer to save his life, though.
No, but he just goes through stretches like this, and then even you're like, oh, Kyrie shot 39% from the year. Oh, it's because he shot 60% for 5 solid games, and it's
right.
Sort of stuff just balances it out. But you worry, like, he's 32. You worry about the wear and tear on his body.
Yeah, absolutely.
This just has a cascade effect, and I think they'll be okay. But teams are built a certain way, kind of expecting 70 games out of dudes, and then because that's all you can do. You can't plan a season for 60 games or for 50 games. You got to kind of figure it out.
Not enough roster spots.
Not enough roster spots. That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of sad, I guess.
Yeah, and it makes like what we do now. Like when Luka's out, obviously we're gonna still do nothing's changing. But like when I watch the game, I'm like, well, that wouldn't have happened if Luka. You know what I mean? Like it makes it feel like everything you're watching doesn't matter, because it's like this is gonna get all wiped. Like they're gonna wipe this slate clean when Luka comes back. Obviously, they can figure some stuff out that maybe they can bring with them when Luka does come back. Like guys can maybe learn
a lot of opportunity for guys.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much.
That's for sure.
You got I almost called him friend of the show, and I think it's just because we've enjoyed watching him play so much, and like Quentin Grimes getting a chance to step up. His rebounding is just so funny. Second in the team in rebounds. Yeah, man, there's some opportunity here, and we'll see what the coaching staff has up their sleeve. I think what makes it a little bit frustrating, at least for me, and we're almost at 45 minutes. I don't know how that happened, is like we just got done talking about how this team is so stinking good that we don't know what we're going to talk about.
That's
like we did this last show. But if anything, it's our fault.
It is our fault.
Nick's asked a good question. How concerned are you guys about Luka's injury from a 1 to 10? 5.
Yeah, I don't think it's not a season ender, but he's gonna miss some time.
Yeah, what it does to me is it raises existential questions beyond the now.
Right. Although I am worried about what this is the type of injury where he can't do anything.
No.
So
there's no cart for anybody who is like, that's where you get into the fitness element.
Right.
Like, are they going to make Luka go swimming every day? Like, what? You cannot duplicate on court basketball cardio. You cannot do it.
Right.
It is a singular, particularly anybody that goes to play pickup for the first time after having not played pickup in forever.
Even if you work out,
it is horrible.
Right. So he's going to be off of his legs for a month, obviously doing rehab. And that's part of that's the thing we're talking about, like the cycle. Like he keeps getting hurt. That just takes more time to get back. And when you're taking time to get back, you're not necessarily training or practicing the way you normally would. So then you come back. That's remember that's when they traded KP, we were like, I think the Mavericks just want out of this cycle of
that's right.
Hurt, rehab, looks rusty coming back because he missed so much time, plays 5 good games, hurt, rehab, looks rusty. Obviously Luka's not there yet. Again, he's not that bad, but that adds to the nature of how frustrating these injuries can be. And at least when he missed with the wrist injury, he had an opportunity to still do, when you have a wrist injury, they obviously use that week off that he had to get him him right and healthy. Like when you have, like you said, you have a calf injury, there's nothing, like, what's he going to do? And that's not his fault.
It's all like, it sucks, man. Like I like to run. Like that is sort of one of, I run, and then I do a pretty good amount of lifting, but run. And it's like when I can't run, I don't end up doing other stuff because I'm just like, I'm like, eh. But I don't know. My brain, my fan brain is telling me Luka's gonna end up in like a Rocky IV type training scenario where he's like lifting carts of rocks and like running up mountains. Like that's Luka comes back with like enhanced strength, like he's just the bionic man. Like that's Jay Billis, oddly calling the game today, talked about Luka's strength repeatedly, and it's one of those things that lives in my head where I'm like, man, let me be clear on this. I know Luka lifts weights. I wonder if Luka has ever really had like a committed weight regimen, or if he is just naturally a hoss.
I think we could safe to say that he is part naturally hoss.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's just like he doesn't. Yeah.
I don't think you could win EuroLeague as an 18-year-old.
Okay, that's fair.
Without having some natural hossness to you.
Yeah, but that's what I think. Like I'm like, what if you put Luka on the plan of player X? You know, it's just because these guys build that. I don't know. I'm overthinking this at this point. This is where fan accounts will get mad at me and clip me. I don't want that to happen.
Well, unfortunately, the schedule is not kind to them.
Yeah.
4 in the road on a row. 4 in a row on the road. Phoenix, Portland, Sacramento, Houston. They come home for Cleveland, who is kicking the piss out of every team in the league right now.
Yep.
Then go back on the road to Memphis, who has won like every game since the Mavericks beat them a few weeks ago.
That's right.
Then Los Angeles, Portland, Denver twice in a row. They're playing Oklahoma City twice at the end of January. They're playing Boston at the end of January. Is not a kind.
Maybe we do trade for Kyle Kuzma. Who knows?
They got to trade for all your least favorite players.
Which is this? This is the part that's gonna fucking drive me nuts. So
everyone's gonna do trades now.
No, but there's a regular listener to the show. He's not in here today. Proud Vet is his name. Where he was just talking about 2 shows ago, where he's like, "We don't have a better record than we did last year," and I'm sitting there going, "Yeah, we do a better team." And then now we're gonna end up playing like honestly, when the schedule you're talking about, if they play 500 basketball, we should be thrilled.
That's a win for sure. For sure.
Fuck.
If they play 500 basketball while Luka misses, like for Luka's entire miss, to me, that's a win, considering where they used to be when Luka would miss games.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
I don't know.
That's why we had a number of people that were joking, where it's like, just like, the time to be bad for flag. It's like, no, nope. Sorry, Mavs can't actually tank. Do you know how? Like they would physically be incapable.
Yeah, I know. Well,
did you get anything good for Christmas, or did you give anything that you liked for Christmas?
The one cool thing about having a kid that they don't tell you about is how much fun it is to go shopping for your kid, and buy all the stuff that you wanted to buy when you were a kid, or get them all the stuff for Christmas that you wanted to get for Christmas. I had good Christmases when I was little. I'm not trying to say my parents.
No, but it's different. Yeah.
I got her. She's 3, so she doesn't. I'm
listening. I'm looking for something. Keep talking.
No. She's 3, so she can't play video games yet. But she likes to sit on the couch when I play video games, and I give her a controller that's not plugged in, and she pretends she's playing.
That's clutch.
And when we went to the store recently, she said, "I want a pink controller because pink's my favorite color." And I was like, "Why not?" So I got her a pink Xbox controller that she could use on the couch. Got her that giant Psyduck stuffy.
That was amazing. Love that.
Got her Lego Spider-Man set. She got a pink cat stuffy that she really liked. So she had a good Christmas. For me, Megan, my wife got me some shoes that I really needed, some CVs, which are these like really nice slip-ons. I got some Viore pants.
They're life-changing, Josh.
I put them on today. They're great.
You look at the price, you're like, I'm not paying for this.
I know.
I'm not paying for this. Like, I wish they were a sponsor because I would talk about them all the time. I now own 4 different pairs of joggers. Like I don't even need them, but it's like they're amazing.
They're great. And I know chat has been really nice and YouTube comments have been nice, but I have lost some weight in the last year. So I can fit into, like, I could not shop at Viore a year ago. So it was kind of like,
think about that. That's a great point.
Yeah. So I can fit into their clothes now, which was really cool. And so I got some of that. I got some pants and some shoes. My mom got me the new Mario Party for Switch because she still shops for me like I'm a 15-year-old.
That's the thing, though. We don't actually grow up. It's like you start buying stuff for yourself.
She got me Steam gift. Steam, the PC platform. She got me Steam gift cards.
That's
and
clutch.
Steam's doing a winter sale right now. Everything's on sale. So I'm like, I feel like Scrooge McDuck. Like I'm living in it. What did you get? You usually get some good stuff.
So my wife and I, we weren't going to exchange gifts because we're redoing our bathroom, and that is just all the money. But she got Parker a replica Super Bowl ring of the Kansas City Chiefs. So then she bought me a Mavs replica ring of the 2011 thing.
Wow.
And it's just a neat little gift. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna wear it. Oh crap! No, it won't come off. But like that was just a cool thing. Like that was like we didn't really exchange anything. She got me that. I thought it was great. But then Parker, actually, I lied. I bought myself Super Mario RPG because it was on sale for $30.
Yeah.
And then Parker was like, "Dad, I got you Super Mario RPG." I was like, "Yeah, sure you did, bud." And what else? Like he got a ton of football cards, which I listen to more football podcasts than I do basketball podcasts, just because we're in this all the time. And so he's like whipping out all these cards. And he loves football, just loves it. We got a Madden too. And he probably has like 300 cards now between family members buying him stuff. No, I have to like sort them and go through all of them. It's a good time. I did. I also got myself the Dark Knight trilogy on like the Super Ultra.
Did you get the 4K discs?
Yeah, the 4K discs. I knew you'd be happy for me.
Pop those in. I'm so happy for you. That's reference. Like you put that on when someone comes over to your house and it's like, oh, really? That's a nice
TV.
Nice? Yeah. What's nice about this TV? And you're like, this.
Mm-hmm.
Put that on. It looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. So that's just kind of where we are. And we kind of forgot that we had to like eat today. So just like
that's tough. Nothing's open. Yeah, you don't know.
Like comedy of errors. So my son's like, "What do we have for dinner?" And I'm like, "Chicken nuggets in the air fryer." How you doing, dude?
Chinese takeout.
Right, just a real classic kind of deal. Oh, and I did get one more Christmas gift that I enjoy. My son likes getting me these, and so I got a Champ Funko Pop. I just thought that was kind of fun.
I'm jealous. Like, me, I'm the opposite of you when it comes to like the memorabilia stuff, but I like living vicariously through your memorabilia stuff.
Well, because you got to find a place to put it. Like we're eventually, like the chat is eventually going to bully you to put things behind you there.
It's kind of my bit now, though. I
almost think you need like a whiteboard where you draw something before every podcast. Like, kind of like what's his name on Around the Horn, like the guy.
Oh, Tony Reale. Oh no, Woody Page.
Woody Page. Yeah. So, anyway, all right. I think we should go. Everybody should go see Sonic 3. Excellent cinema experience. That's all I got.
All right. Yeah. Good Christmas.
Right. Merry Christmas. See you guys Friday. One or both of us may disappear to the ether before then. Who knows? Life happens.
Final podcast episode.
Oh, everybody. I did get this tumbler. My wife always gets me a Mavs tumbler, and it's like, Tervis tumbler. I like Tervis tumblers. All right, everybody be good. Thanks so much for hanging out with us and sticking around. Everyone have a good rest of your holiday. Hopefully you're off work, but if you're not, just like me, get back at the grind, and we will see you guys Friday. Go Mavs.